Welcome to B2B Marketing Unlocked, the podcast that helps CEOs, business leaders, and marketing executives unlock brand growth. In each episode, I bring on industry experts to share their journeys, lessons learned, and the marketing secrets that drive results, while also sharing my own strategies along the way. I'm your host, Johnny Mansilla, founder of Johnny Studios, where we help businesses create profitable podcasts and content that drive growth. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to another episode of B2B Marketing Unlocked. I'm really excited because we have Leticia Rodriguez with us from the ILS Company. She's a director of marketing, and we're going to get to pick your brain, Leticia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. All right, so why don't we get right into it? How did you first get into B2B marketing or your current role?
Well, it's kind of not like the typical, I would say typical marketing director. I had a operational background in transportation, import-export between USA and Mexico. So I've been with the ILS company for 19 years. And I started as an import-export representative and then kind of, moved up over the years and went into the logistics side. I started learning about transportation about 14 years ago. And about 7 years ago, we decided that we're going to start our marketing efforts. And it was just I hired a provider to help us out. And I learned along the way a lot about marketing in itself, a lot of the things that we can do to help obtain more growth and help our salespeople. So I kind of got more involved on that. And then I ended up assembling a marketing team. And, with my team and myself, I got somebody that's a subject matter expert on the technical side. And then I lead him a lot on the operational side and what we need on the sales side. And I've just kind of ended up as a director at this point. And I love it. And it's just a lot of learning along the way.
That's amazing. And I feel like that's really similar to a lot of marketing leaders' journeys. It's like they kind of get thrown into it and then you just start learning a lot of things along the way, so it's kind of awesome to be able to start connecting the pieces. And it seems like you were really, you really knew your industry, which I always say to be a great marketing leader, you have to know your industry, right? Because that's
Correct.
one of the biggest things. So you kind of tied into this question, but currently, what does your marketing team look like? Like, is it just you, or do you have someone under you? Is it a small team?
Yes, we have a marketing manager,
Okay.
and he's the technical guru and the marketing, the technical knowledge, and he's been with us for about 7 years, and then we expanded to somebody to do the social media, more the content creation. And then we also have somebody focusing on the lead generation, whether, doing some of the capturing the leads and doing the lead nurturing, I guess you could say. And then eventually when the lead is ready to buy, then it goes over to our sales department. So that's kind of where it's a total of 4 people that we have right now.
That's amazing. That sounds like a really nice, lean, solid structure. And everyone has their key roles to play to start, to push the company's efforts, right?
Yes, exactly.
And who are you targeting or trying to reach right now? I'm sure it's been refined over the years, but currently, who are you targeting?
We're targeting customers that have a need, for a logistics solution. We offer warehouse distribution, VMI. We're an EMEX company in Mexico. We do transportation. And we find that over the years, transportation itself has been commoditized. You deliver from point A to point B and that's it. It's very transactional when you're talking transportation. But we find that we have found over the years that the customers that we do better with and that we create long-term relationships are those that we have them use our import-export service and we combine them with transportation. We also do their distribution. And in the end, that gives them bigger cost savings than $20 on a lane. We transform supply chains and making it more efficient that provides bigger savings and more value. So we've been our message now has changed to that, to our customers that want to more of a solution on their supply chain rather than transporting from A to B.
Nice. So instead of just one offering, it's more of like a full service solution in terms of trying to mix all these verticals. Oh, that's amazing. And have you found it hard to make that transition? I know a lot of companies, they might start just with something like one product offering and then create a more full service solution. But has it been hard relaying that message to your ideal customer?
It is a challenge because I think that culturally and speaking with the bigger companies, they have just all out bids, right? So you just put
Mm,
the lane, origin, destination, give me your price. And there's that culture in the bigger companies to just, run bids and that's it and focus on that bottom line. So it is challenging. We still have some of that approach with some campaigns that we do because there's some customers that are that way, and the idea is to diversify and pivot towards more of the value added. So what we try is to get our foot through the door through marketing efforts and helping them see the big picture, and then get our salespeople to execute on the explanation and trying to just be more of a go up the ladder, I guess you could say, with our
mm.
prospects to just explain the bigger solution. So it is a challenge. It's not that easy, but it's this process. It's an ongoing process, but I believe it's working.
That's amazing. And would you say your prospects that you get, a lot of them are looking just for A, B transport, and then you guys have to do some further work to actually convince them of the bigger solution, almost like starting small and then eventually they become a full out partner, right?
Correct. Yes. You know what we found when we made a change of our, I guess you could say, of our target. That target where you're trying to have them purchase distribution warehouse and everything at once, it becomes a much longer sales cycle because it's a
Mm,
bigger decision, and it's
yeah.
understandably so. And then there's more things involved, and the change, sales cycle could be a year and a half. I mean, we saw one that was just 2 years. So
Wow. It's long.
it's a big decision on there. And so we
Yeah.
find that we had to do both just to make sure that we have a diversified amount of leads that have different sales cycles, and that way it keeps things moving along, and not just relying on the big total solution approach.
Awesome. That's amazing. It's funny that there's actually some similarities, even though we're in completely different industries. It's almost like we used to just do one-off podcast episodes, but then we moved to a whole strategy where it's like creating podcasts and helping clients develop relationships and make a content machine. And again, it's one of those things where someone might come just for a podcast episode, but then it's hard because now it's like we're transitioning to this full service solution that has a lot more value, but you have to find out how to target it the right way. So
Yes,
it's kind
yes,
of, I see some
exactly.
similarities.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's a different approach, and you got to vary it, because you got to have a strategy for everything.
100%. Now let's go to what's working. What's working best to drive brand awareness or pipeline, in your opinion?
Well, what's working, it's kind of sounds cliche, right? But
Mhm.
it's our biggest customers have come by through word of mouth. And that's
Okay.
obviously, more, on the sales side and more of our performance wise. And there is a lot of that brand awareness. But what is working is highlighting testimonials and
Mm,
and promoting other people's experience to get people to kind of listen a little more, and focusing our messaging to be more towards fixing pain points that our target customer has, and it's whether it's delays in customs, and our pain points that our customers see is targeting that initially to get the initial interest, or them to want to learn more. That seems to be working better.
that's amazing. And I love that focusing on the pain points. I realize a lot of companies, what they do is they just try to list out features, but people don't really connect with only features, right? You need to be like, what is the actual pain that you're solving? And then that will strike an emotional chord for wanting a customer to reach out. And then obviously testimonials is a big one, because giving that social proof, makes it a lot easier to be like, oh, there's another company that worked. And I think it all comes down to having a good product or service. Because if you're getting word of mouth, that means you guys are doing some great things, right? Because if people aren't wanting to tell other people about your company, then it means there needs to be some changes in like the performance in terms of customer service and so many other things. And it all ties back to marketing as well, right? Because you're kind of highlighting that. That's amazing.
And one other thing is like we find that everybody, like let's say LinkedIn, for example, we're all people, right? So everybody, our prospects, they're all people, and they tend to connect with our salespeople as well. And we help our salespeople do their own individual campaigns on their personal LinkedIn. Obviously they're representing the company, but our marketing team also helps them at an individual level to come out with campaigns that they post, not necessarily on the company page, but on their own. And that kind of helps bring that professional look to their image as well. And in turn helps other people connect with them, and help and be more open in talking to the salespeople if things look more professional and with the message that we're trying to bring across.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. So you're saying the marketing team sometimes helps create certain content for sales to post on LinkedIn and things like that?
Correct. Yeah.
That's great.
That helps them, get more of we make sure that they use a message we're trying to and the target pain points and all that, but they're doing it on their own page. And then they'll at the end, they're going to bring, they're working with us, but we feel that it brings people to connect with people more rather than a company. And that seems to be working as well.
That's great. Yeah. More awareness. And then each salesperson almost has like their mini brand, and they're usually talking to all the leads, right? So if they're posting content, that's huge, right? Because there's some opportunity you're leveraging there versus someone that's just hidden and just taking the sales calls, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's great. And what tools or workflows do you rely on most, either you or the marketing team in general?
We use let's see. They're basic. It's like Seamless, Zoom Info, LocalMex, which is for market research, HubSpot. We have Pipedrive for the CRM, Analytics, AdWords. Pretty much the tools that are out there. We combine all of that to create the reporting and make decisions. Metrics. Marketing's all about metrics, right? So we just look at numbers. We'll meet with my team once a month and just pivot depending on what's working and what's not.
That's so true. The longer you wait, that I think marketing is all about testing too, right? It's like you see what's working, what's not, see how the customer's thinking, and then relay that.
It has to move fast, definitely.
And what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
The rate on the transportation, and it's like, for 20, they're nickel and diming the lanes, and it's to try to get the right players in the same room, in the same meeting that see a holistic approach on the solutions we can offer. And I think that's the main thing. It's just very, very, like I said, transportation is very commoditized. And the U.S. market's very soft, right now as well. So we have, as a freight forwarder, you're competing with a lot of carriers direct. So that is a big thing. So just showing that having shippers and our target audience actually see our value added, and see beyond the rate. I think that's the tough one right there.
Yeah, that's definitely a common one I can see, right? Is finding that right customer that's willing to pay the right price and not just nickel and dime, right?
Yeah. And it's with the way the economy is, like you hear everybody approaching cost savings, right? But costs are going up, so it's just so it's finding the balance. A lot of exactly. That's the challenge there.
Nice. And any campaign or experiment that surprised you?
We did recently a campaign that was an email campaign, and it just kind of
Hmm.
focused on it was a Father's Day campaign, and we didn't even mention our name. We just, we sent it, but we didn't use any of our branding really, and just said, talked about the logistics of creating a carne asada, of a cookout, right? And it was sent to a
Yeah.
Mexican market, and we said how important logistics is to that, and the how the father play is a great logistics player, and we just kind of had fun with it, and we put that out there, and we had like response from many existing customers, and thinking it's was really cool, and then it got a couple meetings to our salespeople, and it was a pretty good result there, because it was more like a humor thing, and then just
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like it was something out of the box, creative, and again, tying back to that emotion. And I think sometimes it's so easy as a marketer to just follow the status quo and not try anything different. So it's great to hear that something like that resonated well with your audience.
Yes.
That is awesome. All right, so I want to do a quick fire round with you. So I'm basically going to ask a few questions, and you can respond with just like a short answer if you'd like. If you want to elaborate, by all means. But let's do this.
All right.
A B2B marketing book, podcast, or creator you recommend?
A podcast would be Logistics to Logistics. I like that podcast, or a book. I follow Russell Branson. We did read his .com Secrets book, and we implemented that in our presentations and so forth.
Amazing. Advice you'd give to your younger self?
Man, lots of advice, but the main thing I think is just listening to one of the things that has changed, and we're going to change throughout these next coming years, is we want to have our marketing team with our sales team to be listening firsthand what our prospects or our ideal customers are saying, because we feel that some things get lost in translation between what our salespeople communicate, and it's not the same if marketing's there and listens. And I'm lucky that I get to do a lot of the sales, and I get to do a lot of the marketing, but I want to get a couple of my team members involved. But for myself, is learning. My advice to my younger self would be listening a lot to what the prospect is saying for hidden information that you can use, and talking. And it doesn't have to be. Many times it's just that having an honest conversation about what's going on, and just keep listening very closely, and that gives you a lot of input as to what you can do to appeal to those customers, and in a genuine way, in a way that you can really help them out. Because at the end, you want to be a solution for the customer. You don't want to just sell yourself to them. You want to actually solve problems. So those problems get unburied as you have normal conversations, that you hear issues they have, and taking note and being able to solve the problems is very important, and not focusing on the technical or I want to sell this. No, it's just focus on providing solutions, and then you have more success that way.
100%. A great answer. Right on. Okay, since we still have a little bit more time, I'm going to ask you another question. How do you get cross-team buy-in for new initiatives? Like, walk me through the process of being able to launch something new. Like, does it require your approval? Do you need to talk to the CEO or your direct report? Like, how does that process go?
Well, the way we're set up in our company, we're very, the directors and senior management, we're very a close knit group, and we make a lot of decisions together. So if it's a big change, and it requires a bigger budget, and it's something that's in a higher scale, we do involve the sales manager and the directors that we've been working together for more than 15 years. So we although we have different titles, we all have a good bond, and we can come up with the buy-in, I guess you could say, how it affects each area, like if it affects budget, our finance, and but what would be the value that we would create for sales, and what's the return on investment and so forth. And then at that point, if we have the buy-in at a director level, we roll it out to our teams, and it usually goes pretty well. If it's not that big of a, that it requires all of us, but it does affect other departments, usually we'll do it at a smaller scale. So we'll say, hey, let's get one person with it. This is a new idea. Let's get one person from our carrier development team, one person from our sales, and let's just do a test run and see how it works and what kind of results we see. And if it goes good, then we kind of bring it up and say, okay, we did this test, it worked out, and then that's how we obtain the bigger buy-in if we're going to do it at a larger scale.
That's great to know, because I know some companies, there's so much bureaucracy, right, where like any little idea just has to go through so many approvals that nothing ends up getting done. So it's good to see that it seems like you guys are more fast paced in terms of that process.
Yes. We're pretty much, the decision lies within our team, within our director team, and we can pretty much move forward. Obviously, if it's a huge investment, we haven't came across as something that it's off the table. Usually things, we're not trying to spend millions of dollars anyway, but we're just, sometimes it's accommodating processes, or a slight investment on a different show, or a different, setup for our sales team. And those are pretty, we work through them and pretty fast.
That makes sense. Awesome. And do you have anything else in terms of unlocking B2B marketing? This whole show is about, you've already great answers, by the way. It's awesome to know about your guys' processes. There's a lot of gold nuggets in here. Is there anything else you'd want to share about B2B marketing and your journey?
Learning. You learn your whole career. You just keep learning. And then marketing is one of the things that, if we think logistics is fast, marketing is even a component that moves even faster, especially with AI right now. It's just changing the industry, and it's just be willing to learn and stay ahead of the game, which is hard, because you're barely adopting one thing, and then you're already moving on to different things. But you have to keep your evolving, and change is a constant, and that's something just to keep open to that. I think once you think you have it nailed down, then you don't, then there's new things, and you gotta move. So it's just keep moving, keep learning is I would say is my advice.
Oh, that's great. And it's so true. Don't ever think you know it all, because at that moment things are changing so fast that always being open to learning is really important.
Exactly.
Right on. Leticia, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for having me on the show.
That's it for today's episode of B2B Marketing Unlocked. I hope you found valuable insights to help you grow your brand and scale with confidence. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. Want to unlock the power of podcasting for your business? Visit johnnystudios.com. That's JONY studios.com, where we help businesses create profitable podcasts and content that drive growth. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.